The Crooked Epic, 1 The Inn of Maniacal Madness, 11, Christopher, the Airplane, 11D, 1. Cursing and sweating in the dark, Barry Reeves' posterior shape shuffled over the roots and branches of the grove, dragging Christopher Good behind him. And as Mr. Good began to stretch open his eyelids, he realized he had been caught and drugged. The fugitive reminded him of a large dog, too, and the trees covered in shadows began to glow like red dogwood. The scratching of his jacket across the ground was like a dog's grumbles and growls, panting, exasperating Mr. Good's psyche. He fell into dreams of the black dog in the backwoods of his home in Weir, where he had played with the dog, tugging a rope which the dog had in its mouth. Like many of Mr. Good's dreams, there were no sounds, no color, and no sense of lucidity at all. However, there was the replacement of some of these dream elements, the sounds of his dragged body, bright colors of red dogwood, which shaded darker into the dog's black fur, and the unease of his body's biorhythms were apnea. Barry Reeves was overburdened with problems. The lights of the inn had been altered to retain an electrical capacity for the city of Hob, but the power in Gob had been completely shut off. Terrestrial rotation on this planet was partially slowed through electromagnetic signals sent from the inn, but atmospheric pressure was controlled by Gob's hydroelectric generators separately. Dragon's planet was referred to as the Land of Hob, and the system of language and its name were secretly adopted codes that were never meant to be spoken verbally. So, as it had been called upon, the Land of Hob was adjusting to new implementations of wave frequencies, and the resulting chaotic effects were not fully understood by the governing bodies nor their teams of analysts. It had generally gotten darker. The gravitational spin had not sped back up, and people were finding themselves short of breath and having difficulty maintaining sleep patterns and manual labor. The plane had been seen by the people arriving in Gob at the train station and its passenger cars. There were no meteor showers or comets in range of the planet's gravitational pull, nor had there been since Draken and his team's first arrival. They watched the fireball grow in the sky, though, remembering shooting stars on Earth and the children of soldiers pointing their fingers to it, making wishes and pulling the cuffs, sleeves, and fabric of their guardians, whose pupils were beginning to narrow and contract in response to the already disintegrating oxygenated gases of the air. Without much time to exit the planet, they all had been given tools to determine the breathability of the air around them and were advised to stay spread from one another. Erratic behaviors were monitored. Parents were given suggestions such as inhumane treatment and child cruelty, and guidelines of social distancing were enforced. Families were prepared to induce children with sedatives and mind-altering drugs to eradicate and control any potential threat to their personal breathing spaces. Meanwhile, the Cyborium and the maze had been redesigned. A backup plan transferred operational teleportation devices to multiple declassified points, as Pandora's box system had been expanded for portal relocation. Now, Barry Reeves was bringing Christopher Good to a nearby portal box, only 2 miles west between the campsite and the town of Gob. A stupa construction, marginally the same in technical design, yet aesthetically different from the original Cyborium, was hidden alongside trails leading to terraces along the tall bluffs of the giant lake, higher in altitude. There were others as well, built on pre-assigned coordinates used by the official monitors of Draken's quickly crumbling power sources and his villainous constituent society. So these were the beginnings of other worlds, and there were animals brought to the land of Hob who had learned to adapt to these strange places. Evolution was ushered into the streams of DNA inside the cellular membranes of these living organisms, pushed in accelerated force through alternatively designed dimensions which men had no business trying to manipulate. Told now, the inconceivable forces exchanged, consequentially unplugged, and drained back the innocence replaced with other unworldly damnation until only dry dust and ash fell through the bottomless pit of futility and death. Barry Reeves was now becoming more lost than any mortal man should be, following entropic orders and demented commands of hierarchies that seemed to produce instincts belonging to no immortal divinity either. What seemed like a continuous beating, rhythmic pulse was now intermittent, as hours might have been days, lunar months, seconds, or unending eternity. So, as cartographers, geologists, anthropologists, and historians have chronicled, he started this circular journey spiraling inward and outward, but never quite meeting straight or parallel paths which would have shortened his walk toward the lake. No, Christopher Good was not alone, for fears are felt through entire populations when exposures to the angry gods become so focal and potent. The distance of 2 miles that could have taken less than an hour stretched out for 3 days as measured by the heartbeat of his unconscious dream state. His dreaming, however, shortened to less than 3 minutes.